this point. Please just go ahead.
1 second.
Thank you very much. Yes, my gadget is a bit disadvantaged here. Do you have any apologies, Shirin?
No, apologies. Yes, Chairperson. Honorable Van Wyk is on medical leave, so he won't be able to join the meeting. That's only apologies we received thus far. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We note that and wish him a speedy recovery. Honorable members, my apologies once again, particularly to SALGA and to the members for my delays. May I request that we invite the President of SALGA to take us through the presentation, and then we'll take the discussion after that. Honorable President of SALGA, Angela Stofile.
Thank you very much. Greetings to you, Chair, Doc, and honorable members of the National Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, and greetings, of course, to members of the SALGA presidency that are in the platform and the senior management, both that are leading the Parliament administratively and SALGA. As you know, Chair, we are moving towards the end of the 5-year of local government since 2021 local government elections. And then we are before you presenting our report in terms of what we have been doing and what we are doing and what we are learning to be achieving and what we are failing to achieve. And then, of course, with an intention as a roll-up of the program that we have established since 2021 on our strategic retreat that we had as a National Executive Committee. Safe to say, Chair, 2026, it's a very important year to us, so as we believe that is an important year to South Africa, because in 1996 is the year in which SALGA was found and is completing its 30 years this year in November, as President Mandela launched SALGA in eThekwini. And in the launch that he said is that we must strive to work in unifying the municipalities, rendering service to communities, building capacity of municipal council and administrators so that they respond into challenges that the community is facing. And in our presentation, you'll pick up that we linked these strategic goals within the context in which it was ever not, ending mandate and instruction that were given in our launch. And with your permission, Chair, I will ask you to allow the Chief Executive Officer to lead us on the presentation that we have circulated and give it to Parliament for pre-read in preparation of this meeting. With your permission, I will request as such, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Please proceed as prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members. I'm still just trying to put my presentation on slideshow. Thanks very much, nonetheless. We are presenting SALGA's annual performance plan for the financial year 2026 to 2027, starting, of course, from the 1st of April. This presentation, Chairperson, is divided into 2 parts, as I will be covering and focusing on the non-financial plan performance. And I will be joined later on in the last couple of pages by the Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Tetwa, who will focus on the financial aspect of the presentation. Having said that, Chairperson, I think that it is quite important for us in the presentation, just to share with the committee some of the glances in relation to SALGA. And this is particularly if you look at year 2024, a change has happened in SALGA, and it is a change that speaks to the fact that SALGA, since the 1st of October, has been delisted as a Schedule 3A public entity. And this is quite important because it is a process that we have embarked upon with quite a number of institutions, both in the public as well as in the private, but I think in particular our members. Parliament has been involved in this process that has led to this delisting from as far back as the year 2004, and it got listed in 2024. We thought that it's important to place emphasis that that has now been attained, enabling SALGA to be more agile in its structure and the ability of ensuring that we keep SALGA as sustainable an organization as possible. That being said, we are not less of a unitary body. We are that national association that has provincial presence and represents all 257 municipalities. We are still registered as an employer body, and at that, I think our performance indicates that we have also managed to keep the sector stable. The relationship between ourselves as the employer body that is leading on behalf of municipalities on the one hand, and our two labor unions that are representing employees, as well as the fact that we still remain recognized as the organization that represents and leads on behalf of local governments, the entire fraternity of the local government. We still remain established, and I think as the president indicates, we have now struck 30 years. We are on year 29 in October. Sorry, in November, we will be 30 years of SALGA, and there is a campaign which is linked to the year we are in and the achievements that celebrates the 30 years, including, of course, linked to the constitutional achievement that the country has itself attained. That being said, Honorable Chairperson, we have not forsaken our mandate as an organization that is meant to lobby and advocate and represent local government. The employer body I have made mention of, predominantly we have been driving a lot of the capacity building, which really in most instances is the source of the questions of what makes SALGA to remain a well-governed institution, and yet some of our member municipalities are struggling with that. It's a discussion. We continue to support and provide advice and of course, be a knowledge driver when it comes to issues of local government. Therefore, driving the knowledge sharing and information sharing, not only in South Africa, incidentally, globally. There's a lot that is spoken about the structure and the work that South African local government is doing. And lastly, the fact that we continue to provide the profiling of our municipalities. Last year, when we were joining Parliament did ask these questions, and to the best of our ability, we have answered them. And those questions that were posed that perhaps we did not have sufficient time to respond to, we now have ensured that those questions are captured in this particular presentation. Chairperson, again, very briefly, the empowering legislations upon which SALGA is founded still remain. The Constitution, 1996, recognizes local government as an important component of governance. The Organized Local Government Act, which was adopted by Parliament in 1997, is still a foundation of who we are. The Municipal Systems Act, the white paper on local government, and of course the current white paper on local government is under review incidentally, we have contributed immensely into the current draft of the white paper, which the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is sending out to public for more commentary. Effectively, we think we have contributed no less than 85%. We've made at least 85% of those contributions. And we are quite pleased that there are other innovations that have come from all of society, from political organizations, from civil society. There's a lot of contributions that have also come from the business sector, which is quite important to recognize the role of local government, particularly when it comes to issues of local government. Incidentally, we have now started to frame our work to focus on the local government elections. That's what we are wanting to focus on this year. So the 2026-2027 work is going to focus on the 5 pillars, which is the local government elections. That's number 1. The transition support that we are going to be providing through the electoral process. We have been in constant discussion and exchanging and ideating with the Independent Electoral Commission, and of course the partner entity, which is Cooperative Governance, the department itself. Predominantly, and this is quite predominant, we are also looking at the integrated councillor integration program. We are close in completing a training manual for all the councillors that are going to be onboarded as soon as the local government elections have been completed and have been pronounced by the Independent Electoral Commission. Without going into the details of the ICIP, it is generally building capacity and working with the National School of Government, COCTA, the National Treasury, and many other independent entities that are based in the tertiary education sector, all of them being brought into a space where they are writing the manual. There will be a retreat where we are writing the manual. Similarly, Chairperson, this year is the final year of the 2022-2027 strategic plan of SALGA, which is the instrument we have been utilizing to come to yourselves as a committee on an annual basis to report what progress or lack of progress we are making as an entity, and we are now entering the final year. And as it is, we have started to evaluate the impact of the 2022-2027 strategic plan, working with the University of Pretoria, amongst others, and others that have started to give us a sense of perhaps as we look beyond the 2026-2027 year, anecdotal, not even anecdotal, but at a higher level, they are saying you have to look at spatial transformation as we move forward. Number 2, we can no longer negate the role of municipalities when it comes to economic development. If you look at models, whether it's from the South Americas, the Chinese, economic development is not just a local economic development issue which focuses on the informality, but mayors and municipalities play a serious role in driving the economy, whose collective contribution will then be, will enable us pushing the growth in the GDP, which then leads to job creation and ultimately dealing with the issue of poverty. Number 3, we are looking at the financial sustainability. I think we have in many platforms shared and indicated that the current formula with which we have been supporting the local government fraternity by only 9 to 9.5% from the national fiscus has not been sufficient. We have put a proposal to the system of government. In fact, it talks about the need to up that contribution to at least 18% from the national fiscus. That's something that is coming the way of Parliament in one way or the other during the period. Second last is the climate change agenda. It's a huge thing. Most of our municipalities, notwithstanding that there are many reasons why municipalities are struggling, one of them that is leading to their lack of sustainability is the impact of climate change. And climate change impacts on quite a number of things. It impacts on water. It impacts on how we are managing or not managing waste as municipalities. It impacts on energy and energy efficiency. It's impacting on disaster. In fact, one of the phenomena that we are understanding in the organization SALGA is that climate change has become a daily thing in municipalities, starting from the western side of the country, ending in the northern part of the country, as we experienced this year at the beginning, rather at the end of the year, in December, January, the floods that were experienced by Limpopo, the Mpumalanga, and the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal provinces, which were quite phenomenal. And then clearly, it's an indication that climate change is now upon us. It's no longer a debate. The last aspect that the strategy evaluation is telling us is that we cannot go, we are not going to transition and effect change in local government if we do not professionalize and grow the leadership of local government, which is something I think most political organizations are now receptive to, which is quite an important. Chairperson, without going into detail, this slide continues to talk to what are the root causes that local government is facing. We have shared with the committee last year, and these are also informing what we are doing this year in how we are pivoting our program. One, the weak administration, the political administrative interface. Number two, the non-integrated local delivery mechanisms. In other words, the absence or rather an unoiled system of local government delivery is becoming problematic. The lack of relationship between what happens at a national, provincial, and a local sphere. Hence, we still bemoan that we have to be pushed by Parliament, by society, and by everybody else to drive the DDM as an instrument that enables interfacing between the three spheres of government, of course, with all of society. The ineffective utilization of financial resources, and of course, the bad management of revenues by municipalities, as we are beginning to see ventilated by various investigations and the experiences that municipalities are experiencing currently, and the degenerating infrastructure as a result of lack of maintenance, and there can be debates of why are we unable to provide maintenance when it comes to infrastructure. What we will always say is that the reasons are differentiated based on the type, size, and the magnitude of challenges in a particular municipality, the absence of the utilization of data, depending whether it is being used, and in certain instances, the issue of leadership. Sector pressures still remain, Chairperson. They are projected through local government, of course, poverty, the coalition's instability. We are embracing ourselves. In fact, at some point, the president of SALGA has been talking about the need for us to be very vigilant and anticipate instability in governance as a result of coalition's instability. In one way or the other, coalitions are acceptable and are welcomed in certain instances because they reflect the desire of society. It is really on how those that are in the governance lager are able to utilize the coalitions as an instrument to ensure that everybody in society understands what our challenges are and becomes satisfied in one way or the other by how they are governed and led. Compliance and legal complexity is a big issue, and I think we have in previous instances, as the local government sector spoke of how overregulated local government is, infrastructure resilience pressures, especially in light of the climate change. Clearly, we have to put in place alternative infrastructure that responds and adapts to the current climate change agenda. And of course, the white paper. One of the things that we have said when we were submitting the white paper, we said we can come up with good policies, particularly the white paper and the fiscal policy. At the end of the day, it's going to be how we are implementing this. As I turn the page, Chairperson, I just want to then focus on what the Parliament and all of society generally should be looking at when you think of our 2026, 2027 strategic outcomes that we have utilized over the last period since 2022 to 2027. It's just a reminder. We had said we want to be an agile force. We want to pull together innovations. We want to ensure that we have a capable and a reputable local government, effective networks and intergovernmental relations. We did make mention that we want to drive socio-economic and inclusive return as a result of the investment that we are making as government, as local government, as well as ensuring that our local governments remain globally competitive. We did put a set of programs, one on advocacy, multi-sectoral support, employment relations, business and product administration. That's what we said when we pulled the 2022-2027 strategic plan. Therefore, what should the parliamentary committee be looking at when you think of SALGA in the year 2026-2027? One, the annual performance plan, it's a delivery plan. That's what it is. And that's what we will come back and report on what progress we are making. Secondly, this plan seeks to intensify support for governance continuity in light of the elections. It's a very small gap, that 6 months period between pre-elections and post-elections. And if anything goes wrong, it will mean that some of the institutions are going to start afresh. What we have done is to put a plan practically that ensures that in each of the 257 municipalities, there will be someone from SALGA who is an official who looks at the implementation of the transition period. And it's quite an important issue for us to have presence, working and coordinating in conjunction with all stakeholders from the state, including the IEC, and ensuring that we do not delegitimize the results of the elections for whatever reason. So from the mechanics, the logistics, the policies, and ensuring that we are working all of us together and ensure that each of the new municipal councils will be legitimate when they come to power or to office on the day once the IEC makes the announcement. I have made mention that we are leading the integrated councillor program that enables that all the councillors, all 10,500 councillors that will be coming to office are going to go through that integrated councillor program that will orientate them. And as I indicated earlier, it's divided into 3 aspects. There's the generic one, and then there's one that is portfolio based. So we will start with the generic one, and thereafter we will go to the portfolio based one. So if you are a councillor and you have been appointed and elected to be in, for instance, the economic development, that particular portfolio, there will be trainings. If you are in infrastructure, there will be. If you are in finance, there will be. So they will be quite specific. Thereafter, Chairperson, what we want to drive and encourage the new councillors to do is to go to school. So in working with the National School of Government, we're trying to make sure that at the end of the 2027-2032 period, the majority of councillors, they come out with a certificate, depending on the base they are at this point in time. But of course, it will start with the generic, it will go into portfolio, and then they can join various academic institutions. I did make mention, number 4, that we are completing the 2022-2027 commitments through the work that we are doing. And we are also looking at creating a foundation for the 2027-2032 with the strategic plan, which, as I indicated, is suggesting to us that there are certain programmatic priorities that we must not ignore, as I indicated: spatial transformation, economic development, and so on and so on. We will also then continue to track the performance through the program indicators on a quarterly basis, which gets to be tested and evaluated by our own internal audit and the committees that are providing support to the political leadership and the governance structures of the organization. And ultimately, when we come to Parliament to report around those performance indicators, we will then have tested and we would have been evaluated by those independent committees. In the next 5 slides, Chairperson, I am going to be very, very quick without going into the detail of each and every one of these program areas, but there's about 5 program areas that I'm going to be speaking to very briefly. I'm going to speak to what is the strategic intent of each program, as well as the takeaway of each program. So this first program is the advocacy and the strategic profiling program, whose strategic intent is to position SALGA as an effective force of influence. Chairperson, the committee will possibly realize that we have now started to push a lot of platforms through media and communications to get our own president, for instance. Now we are counting how many times he is in a particular platform, whether it's news platform, whether it's television platforms, it's radio platforms, and we have started to onboard members of the NEC, and very speedily, the entirety of the leadership of the organization will be pushing the current phase, because it's almost like running a campaign, ensuring that society gets to be influenced by our own struggles, but also by our own successes as a sector. So this program focuses on influence legitimizing and ensuring that the sector is critical in the election year that we are in. So we are working with all of government, GCIS amongst others. We have activated all 257 communicators from the municipal sector. We have now gone through 2 platforms, and as we get closer to the election date, particularly when the election date gets to be announced, we will have activated all 257 communicators from the various municipalities. The second program, Chairperson, is the multi-sectoral support, whose strategic intent is to provide targeted, practical support to municipalities to improve governance, service delivery, and the financial sustainability in each of those municipalities where they exist. It's of course, it carries the largest delivery burden with measurable municipal level support targets, and is explicit and directs itself towards the election transitioning, which is something that I have made mention of. So on the one hand, what we are trying to do is to make sure that municipalities do not lose what they are doing, because it's articulated in the IDP. But similarly, we are imposing the fact that municipalities have to be ready for the election period. And it's about creating that balance by coming closer to the various municipalities. Incidentally, if I may share with the committee, we are also preparing SALGA to hold provincial members' assembly as soon as possible. We are targeting the period of July to August, so that all the provincial executive committees provide an end-of-term reports to their members, and they are then able to prepare for what we anticipate will be a leadership electoral conference anytime between February 2027 and March 2027. Obviously, it's all going to depend what the results of the elections are and when do they get to be announced, because as soon as that happens, we then have to get ourselves ready as part and parcel of the transition management. We have to get ourselves ready to elect at a provincial level, provincial leadership, and ultimately summit that to a national elective conference. The program number 3, which is about employment relations, again, we did commit ourselves to our unions, and we said we want to be with them all the way, because we are pleased that our relationship has created stability in the local government sector. In fact, comparatively speaking, this is one sector that has shown stability over the last 10 years. And we are now quickly wanting to ensure that for the 15th year of the agreements that we have signed, we lessen tense relationship between ourselves as municipalities on the one hand, and the unions on the other hand. So we have really stuck to the agreements. There has not been any sporadic strikes that you have seen in the last 2 years. Obviously, there were tough strikes that took place, I think, 2.5 years ago, and we have managed to stabilize that. And we have managed to work with unions who have committed themselves to service delivery. Obviously, this also becomes a subject of discussions and negotiations, and the push and pull on both our sides. So it looks peaceful, but it doesn't mean there is no push and pull between ourselves and the union. But what is important is that we remain committed to what we had committed, signed up in the form of the agreement. Program 4, Chairperson, is in relation to the development of solutions that are scalable. Let me just practically utilize an example. One of the things that we have done as SALGA is to look at our own workforce in the organization. There's about 485 employees that make up SALGA. At least a quarter of them have now gone through training. One, we have established a relationship with a university. All of our staff are now registered in that university, and part and parcel of the registration with the Udemy, which is an electronical university, is to get our own staff as SALGA to start to utilize the artificial intelligence. It's quite an interesting and very scary thing to do at the beginning. But what we are learning as SALGA is that once we start to embark or utilize artificial intelligence as a tool, it is making us more efficient. Some of the efficiencies are unbelievable in the organization. We have even started to reduce our occupation of space in the organization, thus saving money in the form of rentals. And we intend, because we still are in discussion with our leadership, we still intend to reduce more space, because our staff are finding it interesting that by utilization of tools such as AI, they are now more productive, interestingly, without them having to be in office. In fact, what is interesting is that now we are contemplating as management that perhaps staff must come to the office once a week in light of the expenses that they are currently experiencing. We did a very
you have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to finish off. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps let me go to program number 5, and thereafter the CFO will speak, which is basically the administrative program which is keeping us and safeguarding the organization. Chair, we are now completing the audit process. We do anticipate that we will achieve the 14th consecutive audit report as SALGA, and that's part and parcel of how we have kept the administration. And as it were, one of the struggles that we are having, just to share with the committee, is that our membership levy collection rate is beginning to be impacted upon by what municipalities are struggling with. They themselves are struggling with financial resources, and that is now going to begin to impact on us. That being said, we are responding to that as an organization. Last slide on my side, as I introduce the Chief Financial Officer, Chair. One, we are basically synthesizing all of these in the form of the 2026-2027 APP, with a strong transition focus on the local government elections, so as to make sure that all election results have legitimacy and those that come into office are legitimate. Thanks very much, Chair. If, with your permission, may I please introduce the Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Mthethwa, to please come through. Thanks very much, Chairperson.
Please proceed, CFO. You've got 9 minutes.
No, thank you. Thank you, CEO, and good afternoon, members, and good afternoon, Chair. I will be taking the committee through the finance plan. And I think, as the CEO has mentioned in terms of our plans, and part of that work is making sure that as we plan accordingly, we then make sure that we are costing all those activities and they underpin, and that costing underpins the APP that have been presented. And to make sure that it is aligned, the budget is aligned with the organization priorities and sustainability. And then once we've done that, we make sure that we prepare a high-level medium-term expenditure framework, which sets the context of the revenue and expenditure planning. That is based on the anticipated revenue streams over the 3-year period, and is directly linked to the programs that have been mentioned. In the next slide, I will then go through the key assumptions and parameters guiding the budget formulation. As the CEO has mentioned, we are largely dependent on the membership levies that come from the 257 municipalities. Therefore, a large chunk of our budget parameters and our assumption is based on that parameter. We have, in terms of our policy, a levy calculation that we used, and we increased that on a annual basis by CPI, depending on the type of municipalities. And as such, we anticipate that we will collect, or at least we will record a budget of 1 billion in terms of the revenue, and that 1 billion will slightly increase over the next 2 years. And then we then cost our direct or operating expenditure, as well as employees, and make sure that we apply the CPI plus whatever cost that we anticipate going forward. We also include our COPTA grant, which, even though we have been delisted, we are continuing to receive the COPTA grant. So that has been included in the budget. In the next slide, I will then talk to how then the budget looks like after we have done these budget parameters. So in terms of revenue, we have budgeted 1 billion rand based on the membership levies and the government grant. We do also collect sponsorships, especially when we do events like the Provincial Members Assembly, the National Members Assembly, even the trainings and other workshops. And obviously, it is not always possible to budget for sponsorships when we have not secured in writing any commitments. So obviously, normally they would be much higher than we have budgeted, but we only need to budget what we have commitments for at the time of budget. Likewise with donations, especially as we anticipate the ICIP, we are dealing with the LGCTA in terms of trying to augment our revenue, see where they can assist as far as the induction of councillor programs as well. And also the interest income is included in our budget. In terms of the expenses, those then expenses will match what we are anticipating to collect in terms of revenue, which is the 1 billion, and we also make sure that we don't exceed the revenue that we are likely to collect. And therefore, we are anticipating that the total expenses will be matching the revenue that we are collecting, and that trend is likely to continue for the medium-term period. In the next slide, then this is the makeup of the revenue, as I've mentioned, Chairperson. A large chunk of that comes from the membership levies at 91%, and then we have the Copter grant at just slightly under 4%, as well as the sponsorships and donors and grants, which are likely to increase, but because we don't have the commitments at the time of budgeting, so we only budget to what we've committed to. And then in the next slide, then the next slide speak to the expenditure mix of where our costs go to. The big chunk of that is the employee cost, sitting at 58%, as you appreciate that our organization is employee heavy because of the nature of work that we do, of consulting, lobbying, training. So you will find that it's more than, or it's not, our employee costs are much more higher than your normal entity. Then followed by the direct cost, which is the program cost at 17%. And obviously program costs in terms of our own making will include some of those employee costs that are sitting at 18%. Then in terms of the statement of financial position or the balance sheet, which is in the next slide, we are anticipating that our total assets, they will sit at 982 million based on what we are expecting to collect and the assets that we have. And what is also included there is our capital expenditure, which sits around 5 million, and that number is likely to decrease because most of the capital expenditure is more on the resources or the working tools that employees would require. So that is my presentation, Chair, as far as the budget, and I can confirm that the budget is funded as we stand and it was approved by the NEC. We would like for the committee to note the annual performance plan as presented by the CEO, as well as the financial funding of the plan, as I've just alluded to. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair. That is our report, and the only thing that I can bring is that we are working hard to build partnership and relationship. In the recent past, we just had a long outstanding session with the banks and property owners in the Republic, and with an intention to have a conversation to play a role pertaining to a relationship between them and municipal system in the Republic, including matters of improving revenue, which it was a very positive meeting, which I have never thought it will, but it was a very good meeting that everyone is geared towards working in making sure that local government does turn the tide and does improve its financials and the collection ability. And it was a very interesting discussion in that seminar. The other issue, Chair, just on the training of or onboarding of councillors, we will request really all those that are interested, being political parties, which we are engaging them currently, and members of parliament to encourage councillors. We may do and put all these plans, but these plans may not succeed as long as they are not supported sufficiently by all those that are involved in the value chain, and which to me is a very important issue. The other issue, Chair, we had a very successful engagement with the Minister of Justice, and we have hosted all legal practitioners in the local government sphere. And then where we are having a conversation and worry that we have indicated pertaining a highest litigious environment that we are operating at, and how do we then collaborate between ourselves and government at the national level. And we are really pleased to see that. The other issue that we may bring to your attention is a recent engagement that we had with the Minister of Human Settlement with regard to the PI Act and the pressures that are experienced by local government. And we really appreciate that the minister be able to work through the cabinet and in dealing with it. We know all these issues, Chair, we cannot succeed if we don't create stability of labor in the municipal space and averting different intervention on disruption. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stofile and the team that's done the presentation. Thank you very much. May I invite the members if they would wish to make some queries, questions for clarification and any comments? All right, let's start with Honorable Van Said, followed by Mkalipi.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to everyone on the platform this afternoon, as well as the presenters that presented the SALGA report to us. I wanted to find out, the President of SALGA, Councillor Stofile, spoke about the funding model of it at this stage being at 9%. And he mentioned that if he had his wish come true, he would increase that to 18%. I would just like, maybe as a passing comment, to get from the President of SALGA to understand how the Western Cape, or 95% of the Western Cape municipalities, are able to do it at 9%. Then Program 2 speaks of supporting municipalities with financial sustainability interventions, revenue enhancement, and audit support. I was wondering if SALGA can give the committee, a list of the worst performing municipalities that's actually receiving this report in 25-26, and what measurable outcomes or turnarounds are expected, and how long that could possibly take. Then Program 4 indicated the 9 digital solutions and products for municipalities to assist them. How much will these innovations cost? I didn't see a costing sheet to any of those things. And which municipalities will benefit from this first? And how will SALGA then ensure that this does not become another sort of tech or IT exercise while residents still sit without water, electricity, or functional billing systems? And then lastly, Chairperson, just on the collection rate of the levies, I think they said that they are aiming for an 80% collection rate. Why should struggling municipalities continue paying for levies if many residents cannot see the value for money in these? What accountability measures exist to provide or to prove SALGA is delivering tangible support that leads to increased service delivery to residents? Because that really is the function of municipalities, is to have good service delivery to the residents. And how will the support then by getting at 80%? I mean, I'd like them to unpack that a bit more. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. I'll give SALGA 5 minutes to go through those issues. SALGA.
Maybe let's ask the CFO and CO to start, and then we'll come back.
Okay, CEO, CFO.
Thank you very much, Chair. Why should struggling municipalities struggle to pay? Why should they pay the SALGA levy? Honorable Van Zyl, SALGA does more than what it seems. For instance, whereas municipalities are currently struggling with a lot of negotiations and deals, for instance, with either it's ESCOM or water boards, we send teams to negotiate on behalf of municipalities. When there's a dispute with labor, we send our own teams to intervene and help the municipalities. Now, if you look at the fact that this is done at a collective level, with our interventions, we are able to attain what you could call economies of scale through our interventions. Are we always successful across all 257 municipalities? Definitely not. It's not all the time, but the majority of municipalities are today stable because we negotiate on their behalf what the agreement should be. For instance, another example with labor. Without that value, a single municipality, particularly if you're saying it's a struggling municipalities, it will probably be under pressure from, in this instance, unions who put pressure and negotiate. So we do this collectively because of the economies of scale. The costing of innovation, yes, it costs to have innovation. Another example, one of the things that we are trying to do as we are negotiating on behalf of municipalities is to speak to the Department of Energy. And we have said to the Department of Energy, look, there are struggling households in our various municipalities. Can we get into a program where we are able to, where we disseminate the innovation and utilizing solar, especially in houses that will never afford electricity because they have little or no income? Let's give them solar energy, because even if we put them in the current network, they still are unable to pay for that. But at the bare minimum, by engaging with the Department of Energy, we are able to provide electricity. However, it's not at an optimum services, but with what we are doing, we're providing those services on behalf of more than one municipalities, particularly the struggling ones. The Western Cape municipalities are able to do what they're doing with the limited 9.5% that we are all getting from the national fiscals. But that's not enough. I think if you ask any municipality in the Western Cape, they will tell you, we are struggling. We are doing with what we are doing, and we are struggling. And it varies from one municipality to the other. It's not only about Western Cape municipalities, Honorable. There are other municipalities that are able to succeed despite the fact that they are not located in the Western Cape. And yet there are other municipalities that are struggling very deep. I mean, if you go to municipalities that have little or no revenue, who struggle with institutional capability and institutional capacity in the form of individuals, they're unable to attract skills. That we try to do in the best possibility that we can. There are successes in the Western Cape, yes, but there are also failures, as you will find in any other province. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I think, Chair, it will be important that CEO, we can make a commitment here, Chair, that for helping Honorable Van Zyl to understand why we are arguing the issue of 9% is not sufficient. Probably we will furnish her or the committee with regard of the study that we've conducted, which is not secret. Study reflecting the pressure and the gap that has been created by 9% vis-a-vis the sufficient funding. That speaks on plethora of issues that municipalities are rendering service on, including a maintenance budget and many other issues that are related. And you will remember that many of the municipalities, they don't have a revenue base stronger than any other urban cities, so as they could have, and therefore they don't have a leverage. And that is why it will be then important then when you look into the study that it has been conducted, which is in the cycle of debate and discussion between ourselves, COGTA, and National Treasure. And that is why we are happy that they have now came to senses that it is true what we have been raising as SALGA for the past 17 years, irrespective of what it might be seen as negative. It is true that the formula and the manner in which local government in South Africa has been funded, it is improper, is incorrect. And of course, you can look into studies at the global level. Bigger countries that have better than South Africa, they are hovering between 20-22%. And therefore, because they are committed to see changes happening, because changes are not going to happen because we lodge complaints and all that. We need to back up that with funding, accountability, monitoring, and making sure that we create a difference. The second issue, Chair, I think Honorable Van Zyl must also go back. The NERSA says in the recent development. Municipalities that are asking for increase on tariffs, they must go and submit a cost of supply study. And a poor municipality that it looks into as a member of SALGA that's supposed to contribute into SALGA has no sufficient muscle to pull a cost of study. And SALGA, because this is the member, is required by legislations of our republic that this municipality, respective that has capacity financially to pull out a cost of study, a cost of supply study, but is required to come with that. And SALGA is then intervening on that. Is that not a value? I don't know what is the value then, what it means. Because a value is when a member is suffocated, is facing a difficulty. An association such as SALGA, that is a unitary association, cross-subsidize those weaknesses, because that member is still a member, is operating in a municipality, is expected to render same service as other areas that are rendering service. That is to us, I believe it's an intervention. The other intervention, if you look in the city of Johannesburg, one of the biggest cities in South Africa, same to the city of the Cape Town. City of Johannesburg, it is known by everyone seated here that every month is receiving 20,000 people that have not been planned to be in that city. Now, the SALGA, it had to enter into that space, engage those that are involved, Minister of Home Affairs, to play a role in terms of cross-relating with the municipality, in terms of sharing notes of individuals that are arriving, that have been permitted elsewhere to another government. That is a lobby. That is a responsibility of SALGA to spend money to lobby on that. Engaging the Minister of Home Affairs is part of lobby. Engaging any other person is part of lobby. So I'm saying these municipalities, they do have value. Small, we don't mind, or bigger municipalities, they have a different challenges. Then that is why in the white paper we are talking about differentiation and differentiated approach when we deal with them. And I think, Chair, that is our answer on the questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Mkalipi has changed her mind. Let's move to Lapus Kaghni. Honorable Lapus Kaghni.
I'm experiencing a lot. Chairperson, do you hear me?
Oh, yeah, okay, I can hear you now.
Hey, I have a serious challenges of network, Chairperson.
Try
Chair,
to-
thanks for the presentation. It's very. Do you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I can hear you. Proceed,
Do you
please.
hear me, Chair?
I can hear you.
Okay. No,
Please
thanks very much,
proceed.
Chair. Yeah, I won't be long, Chair, because due to the network problems, I just want to get a clarity on the presentation by SALGA. Good afternoon to you, President and colleagues. SALGA, we are saying that key of the strategic intent in program 2, in program 1, we are saying that one of the things that you want to do from 2026 to 2027 target is to give support or to waste management solutions and water and sanitation collaboration support. I just want to understand, because the country is experiencing water challenges. You are further saying to the points that you mentioned on the presentation, you also want to give support to waste management and then disaster management as well. As the country experiencing disasters day out, day in. So I want to locate the support of SALGA, because we are listing this as a target of 2026 to 2027, but the water problems, the waste management, the disaster challenges is not something that is new. So how are you intending to achieve this? On program 3, you also talk about, I think you are also special on this one, in terms of the labor relations. There's a lot of labor disputing within the municipalities, and some of those issues are being taken to the bargaining council, which SALGA is part and parcel. But the feedback that we get from the employees of the municipalities, they are not even...
SALGA, let's proceed. Let's respond. I'm not sure if she cut off, but let's proceed.
So it means that the network, Chair.
She is still continuing, Chair. She is still asking questions.
Yes, I'm still on, Chair. Yeah, that is my last point, President of SALGA. The disputes, how do you deal with it? Because most of the people that are employed by the municipalities, some of them are very complaining in terms of the processes that are happening. When we had an oversight in KZN, Honorable Mtolo spoke about a specific issue regards to a lady by the name of Kapile Kwenza. And her case was not followed properly in terms of HR matters. And she took the matter to the bargaining council. And a person that was going to represent her in terms of the union was told to leave the case. As a result, this case is not going anywhere because that person is withdrawn. And it was instructed by the people within the municipalities. So there are so many cases like this in different municipalities. A case in point is the case of the municipal manager in Solplaki. So I just want to locate and check what is the role of SALGA in all those cases that also include the senior management within the municipalities, because the reason why I'm asking this, President and Chair and colleagues, is because it's also come and affect the people in that particular municipality whereby a senior manager found that it can't perform or she can't perform her duty because of those HR processes that are not proper followed, and it becomes frustrating. Thanks very much.
You get a response from SALGA?
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Let me, on this issue of the disputes and the arbitration or resolution, I will request that for us to get more details because it's new. We are not aware of. But what we are doing, Chair, is that SALGA is part of the bargaining council. We've got our members that are serving in the bargaining council, and they are involved on the different discussions with regard to matters that affects the labor in the sector, including the matters that related to salaries and other areas. And for specific cases, it will be important for us at least to get the details so that we can engage our colleagues that we have asked to serve on our behalf in the bargaining council. And therefore, I think that will be the best way of how to resolve the issue, where the particular employee happened not to be happy on a particular process that it has been followed in the municipality, and then there's a bottleneck with that regard. With that, we will request to approach it in that way, Chair, with your permission. And then I think CEO can respond on the waste management and the water.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair and the President. Yes, indeed, I appreciate the question that Honorable Mkalipi is posing, and I would just like to draw some of the contextual issues. So, number one, the issue of water, disaster management, or disaster generally, and waste, they are very much part and parcel of how the climate change is beginning to impose itself on how ordinarily we have been managing water, we've been managing disaster, we've been managing waste. That does not in any way hide from the fact that we are struggling as municipalities to provide appropriate infrastructure to maintain the limited water resources that we have. However, if you talk about disaster, Honorable Mkalipi, we have been at pains in expressing the fact that how disaster management takes place in the current policy context, it needs to be changed. For instance, when a disaster strikes and a municipality in itself does not have requisite resources, and it has to remain with communities that have been struck by disaster, it imposes itself on the budget of that municipality. We will then assist that particular municipality to secure resources via disaster. In certain instances, and in many instances, if I may say, those resources come late. And by the time that those resources arrive in the municipality, you actually realize that there's been another disaster. A typical example is what has happened in eThekwini, truth be told. And it means that there's something in the system of how we are responding to disasters by municipality, provinces, and national government. There's slowness that is there, and it needs to change. We have put in place proposals to the National Department, Cooperative, on what needs to change in how we're managing both disaster and waste. Waste is also an issue precisely because we have to find alternative and innovative ways of managing waste, because now it has become gold. It's no longer just waste. There's a huge conflicts that are taking place on how waste is being managed, and the fact that we as municipalities are struggling with resourcing. We are working with the appropriate department when it comes to waste management, and again, lobbying for the position of municipalities. Again, Chair, these things are very expensive and they are not easy to just solution overnight. And it's a difficult thing. And that we do at any given point in time protect municipalities in how these policies are either implemented. And what we realize is that there is no differentiation. Other municipalities have capacity, the majority do not have capacity. That's why others are able to succeed, others continue to struggle, and it creates chaos, if I may use that word, in the municipal space. Thanks very much, Councillor Mkhaledi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Labuschagne.
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you very much. I have a few questions. I will first start off with, in Program 1, I would like some clarity on what do you mean on positioning SALGA as a local government funding agency. Exactly what who will fund, will SALGA fund or make contributions to specifically to local government, or the other way around? And then I would like to know, you say that you are measuring, SALGA outlines extensive municipal support programs under Program 2, for instance, financial sustainability, audit reports, revenue enhancement, and infrastructure support. My question is, what specific measurable improvements in municipal outcomes, for example, audit outcomes or revenue collection rates or service delivery reliability, can directly be attributed to SALGA's interventions or support in the past year? And what are your 26-27 targets for these outcomes indicators, or what, will be rather than just support activities? What I'm trying to say is, if you look back, what will indicate measurable improvements? Second question, the APP acknowledges persistent sector challenges like weak governance, poor financial governance, and collapsing infrastructure, like we all know. How does SALGA ensure accountability and consequence management in municipalities that repeatedly fail despite receiving SALGA support? And what mechanisms exist to escalate interventions when support does not translate into improved service delivery? And then the last question, Chair, is a major focus of the APP is election transition support and the ICIP rollout. What evidence do you have that past election transition support and councillor induction programs have led to more stable governance and improved service delivery? And how will you measure the success of the 2026-27 interventions beyond attendance and participation rates? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. May we respond, SALGA?
CO, you come in first.
Thank you very much, President. Thanks very much as well to Honorable Labuschagne. I would just like to explain this notion of the funding agency. One of the things that we are realizing is that a number of municipalities, particularly the small municipalities that do not have capacity even to put proposals on the on the table, they require some kind of an agent or agency on the part of SALGA to help them with, for instance, putting ideas on the table, testing those ideas and bringing them to what is called bankability, so that once they are ready to be taken to bankability, then we are slowly getting into a space where we will call agencies or entities such as your Development Bank of South Africa, DBSA. And that's what we mean by the need for us to create a funding agency. Perhaps at a later stage, we might rename the notion of the funding agency. But the intention is that we know that there are certain municipalities that just do not have that capacity, and yet they have the need. And in certain instances, they have the opportunity. For whatever reason, they're unable to attract the appropriate skills. Further, if I may just share, Honorable Labeskagni, one of the other things that we are realizing is that some of your development funding organizations that are supposed to work with the smaller municipalities, they are very choosy. It's also about what are they reporting back home where they are supposed to be funded. If they see the difficulty and the hard yards, they don't get involved. And yet if you go to municipalities that are far-flung, saying, who are really struggling, only a SALGA must get involved. And that's what we mean by that funding agency. It's not about resources, but it's about enabling organizations that otherwise have the financial resources to get involved in one way or the other. On the consequence management for those that are receiving support, this is a very difficult one. Ultimately, we are not, as an organization, able to implement consequent management on, let's say, a municipality that has gone through our training, let's say on financial management, and then that particular employee goes back to the municipality and behaves in a very unacceptable manner. The municipality, that's your employee, deal with that. But SALGA must not stop training municipal employees, by way of example, to get them to be skilled, to get them to be exposed in one way or the other. There's a municipality that we have been working with currently, 2 municipalities for that matter, in the Free State. And we went into these 2 municipalities and we actually realized that what they do not have is people that understand processes in how you procure and all of that. And we took them through training. One municipality changed, the other one, it actually had individuals in the municipality that actually understand the system, and they are purposefully changing and twisting it so that they can have their own, it can be beneficial to themselves. The last question is around the municipal audits. There are about 18 municipalities that, in conjunction with the Auditor General, we have targeted as of last year. And I can share with the committee, there have been changes that have happened. We have also taken our own systems as SALGA. For instance, we've taken our own supply chain management system and we have implanted it in a particular municipalities, and we're looking for better results in the next audit. And that's because we are wanting to help municipal members without them spending their own resources, which they do not have anyway. We are very intent in targeting the deep struggling municipalities that are far-flung in the process. Obviously, we're dealing with numbers when it comes to SALGA, and we're putting in place this differentiated mechanism of ensuring we become differentiated as an organization. When it comes to the councillor inductions that we are going to be putting in place, evidence is that is borne out by the fact that we were able to support municipalities to constitute councils, and we mustn't undermine this. That's why I was talking about the need to ensure that the election results do not become delegitimized. That's why we are getting involved. We're trying to ensure that follow the election, if immediately after the elections, there is a council in place. Because without that, those elections are going to be challenged, they're going to be legitimized. So constituting a council is a very important part and parcel of ensuring that there is governance. Evidence of success is that it's based on the number of councillors that were inducted. I have made mention that we anticipate 10,500 councillors that are going to be elected. We don't know how many will be coming back. We anticipate that there will be a huge turnover. So there will be more young councillors this time. They will all be young. So we are planning to be inducting 10,500. In fact, even those that would have gone through the process, the white paper, there's a chapter that we are writing that's looking at the white paper. It's got elements that are new. So we will be encouraging all those that are elected to go through the induction process. Thanks very much, Honorable Labiskachne.
Thank you, Honorable Sompa. Masiu. Honorable Sompa, if you can't come in for now, we'll come back to you. Honorable Mdolo.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to make a follow-up on what Honorable Mkhalipi raised. But my follow-up is with regard to bargaining council, racial representation in terms of their workers. I remember while I was still a councillor, there was a complaint with regard to representativity in terms of their racial groups. Because there was an indication that, or a complaint that seemingly because the management of bargaining council is of a certain group, and then you will find that most of the employees will be that of that particular racial group. Understand that that is still a problem. So what is SALGA intending to do as a stakeholder in the bargaining council in addressing that problem? Because it was a concern years ago, and then it's still a problem even after more than 10 years, after 15 years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Please respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the bargaining council, the way it's done, it's made by three major role players in the sector. Is the labor, both IMATU, the SAMU, and SALGA. And as far as I know, they run their processes in terms of recruitment, and I will believe that the Honourable is asking pertaining to recruitment and so on. Now that because it has been brought to our attention, and we have not been aware, and nobody have brought such complaint of a particular group that is more dominant, and of course, not negating the fact that it might be informed by different factors. And I think as SALGA, we can make a follow-up on that, because I don't want Chair to answer for the sake of answering, because we need to get our hands around the issue that has been raised, so that we can have a comprehensive understanding, and then we can be able to give an answer that is proper and accurate with regard to the question that has been asked by Honourable Member.
Thank you very much. Honourable Sompa Masiu. Any other hands? Honourable Marina van Zyl, I see your hand is up. Is it legacy or you?
It's new. It's follow-up, Chairperson.
Follow up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just on program 2, there was the question about, the intervention and how it speaks of supporting municipalities with financial sustainability, revenue enhancement, etc., etc. I asked if SALGA could possibly give us a list of the worst performing municipalities that's receiving or will be receiving that support. That was sort of not answered or committed to. If we can get an answer or commitment on that. And then just the COO quickly spoke and he said, that SALGA does more than what it seems. And he made the example that if a municipality is struggling with labor disputes or with Eskom or with water boards, they send teams to help and negotiate. I mean, I just want to say that that's obviously not working. If you look at the amount that's owed by municipalities, and even the president of SALGA, Councillor Stofile's Majabeng municipality owes Eskom 6.9 billion rand. So, just as a comment, I mean, do you really think that that is working and that is really adding any value? And then Councillor Stofile spoke about the cost of supply study with Eskom when they go into the debt relief programs and the like. Many municipalities, I think, are approaching the DBSA to assist with those cost of supply studies. So I would again like SALGA to furnish us with a list of municipalities that SALGA has assisted or are busy assisting with things like the cost of supply study. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, SALGA.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the request to supply, I think the CEO is taking note of it, the request to supply a list of municipalities that we have assisted with regard to the cost of supply. I think it's a very easy thing and which the CEO will do. One thing that it must be noted, and Honorable Van Zyl, it must remember, is that the issue of electricity and the debt owed to municipalities and debt owed by government and households to municipalities is a long-guest issue in the value chain of our governance structure in South Africa. And that is why SALGA took a penny to raise the matter to the President of the Republic, which the CEO is correct that our role is to lobby and advocate and represent the interest of the municipality. And that is why we then brought it to the attention of the President that the issue of the debts is issues that need to be dealt with. And it's a matter that it cannot be dealt with by only one segment in the value chain or in the ecosystem of governance in the Republic. And I think that is a matter that is going to be with us for some time. The second question, Chair, is the list pertaining to worst performing municipalities. And I think what is required by Honorable Van Zyl is the list, and I don't think CEO will have a problem to furnish the list ASAP after this meeting, because it's the list already available in the area. And I think it is important for me to highlight, there was a question pertaining to that. We must make an example, a municipality that we have managed to turn the tide, having invested our energy, sending our team, working with the municipality. A municipality in Kukuni that was not performing well when it comes to issues of attitude. And if you look into that municipality there, then that municipality having employed an intern, and the intern changed to be a municipal manager. If you look into the audit outcome of that municipality in the 2024-2025, it's a different municipality. That is an intervention of SALGA that is engaging its member, because we believe that it's through our engagement with our members and take them through and accept and put them into an excelling program that it must turn the tide. And these are the issues that we are putting before the committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Honourable members, any outstanding questions? Honourable Sompa, are you still fine? Are you back? Okay.
Covered.
Yes. Are you covered? You still want to raise something?
No, I'm okay.
Sounds like your system is struggling quite a bit. All right, honorable members, I think we should try and round up the discussion. President of SALGA, the issues that the committee has always tried to look at how we can find a common ground is looking at the audit outcomes of SALGA as an organization and how on the ground its members are struggling so much. And the question has always been, is there anything else that can be done? Because the level of dysfunctionality is still very high. And the question is, to what extent SALGA is able to help to turn that situation around? Yes, the provinces and the national COGTA and Treasury have a direct function, but we're looking at what this contribution from SALGA would be in dealing with that. We note your championing of the changing formula. That matter is already receiving attention at the level of the white paper on local government. It has been already articulated by the president. Various mechanisms are in place to try and get that issue discussed. Obviously, it's something that's going to evolve and we have to depend on those processes. So we do note that it's an issue that you have raised over a period and it's getting kind of traction at this point. The other concern we have is the numbers of municipalities that are receiving disclaimer audits outcomes, a number of whom are actually repeat offenders. And here what we would love is to get a concrete commitment, for SALGA to say, what is it that we can do to actually draw a line and say no more disclaimers. The next Auditor General's report is going to show a number of municipalities still have not changed. They still get disclaimers. I think we need a different approach and probably a collaborative way and maybe creative way in which your SALGA could also be playing its role at that level. The members have requested additional information in relation to other areas we could have intervened. And I think some of that you can obviously continue to share as we move along. But we want to just at this point to round up this discussion, thanking you, SALGA, for your presentation. We're going through to process all these annual performance plans as part of our oversight responsibility. And so we thank you for all the information that you have shared, and we will then be proceeding with our oversight process as we go through. We've gone through some of the other entities already, so we're happy that we have dealt with SALGA at this point. But as we say, we do note how your SALGA has actually played a role in supporting the municipalities. We need to find a way of how we can actually continue to improve on the performance of the various municipalities. So that for us remains the issue that we keep trying to check or maybe to compare your own performance as a structure to that of your members. Somewhere along the line, we need to be able to have the needle moving a bit to a point where we reduce those levels of dysfunctionality. If there any comment from the President so that we can bring the meeting to an adjournment.
Thank you very much, Chair. Your guidance is taken. And we read in your statement that you are calling for SALGA to be innovative and find a way of how to then move the needle in turning around the situation that is happening in local government. And we take that counseling and I believe we make our commitment to work towards achieving what you are advising and calling on us in terms of how to then contribute in turning around. And I think the team is going to go back and look into your guidance with regard to this. And I understand that the committee sees that, yes, is appreciating SALGA's performance, but SALGA's performance doesn't speak well with its members and how the SALGA could play a role in turning things around in local government system. And we are committing ourselves to come back to work out with different proposals and suggestions. And because we believe this thing, Chair, it can be achieved through collaborative efforts by different role players. Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity.
Thank you very much. And to all the delegation from SALGA, you are at this point excused. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Could you request Shirin to show us the plan for the next few days, next few weeks from the for the committee? The rest of SALGA delegation are at this point excused. Can we have a look at the program from now way forward? Now, we'll just hold it at that. Honorable members, we'll have meetings on the 28th, 29th, and 30th, which are on Zoom platform. That is next week. We have a meeting on Monday, on Tuesday, on the joint sitting with the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs. We do need to give suggestions if there are any. If there are suggestions of how you would like us to handle that meeting, please send us some information on the chat group. But that's where we are. We'll start with the joint meeting with the Portfolio Committee of SALGA of Home Affairs. On Wednesday, we'll be dealing with the Demarcation Board and CRL Commission. I assume we're only dealing with the APP with CRL Commission. I don't know. There will be enough time to turn CRL to talk to us about their processes. What do the members feel? Would you like us to combine that or just keep it separate? We still need them to talk to us about this whole CRL process, because later we will be inviting other church groups. Yes, Honourable Member?
My proposal would be that we should not combine it, because we've got the Municipal Demarcation Board as well as the CRL, and we only have a period in the morning.
Okay.
Because they can give us the processes, but I can just imagine that we might go into long discussion, a lot of questions and long discussions, given all the discussions that we previously had on this issue.
All right, let's take your advice and leave it at that. I just wanted to make sure we can all be aligned. All right, honourable members, that's what's going to happen for the next week. So let's note that the rest is for information. Members can have a look at it.
Chair?
Yes, Honourable Mkhaliphi?
Yeah, can I get a more information in regards to the meeting on the 28th? What are the details of the meeting? What are the specific points that are going to be discussed, Chair?
Let me just check what is the last communication. Sharon, just pull out the issue from the Home Affairs Committee. There is supposed to be a briefing on the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel report. So they'll be giving us a briefing. It's a report to the portfolio committee, but they believe that we need to all be part of it. It hasn't been shared yet with us. I presume here it's talking about a wide manner of issues in relation to the various reform suggestions that they've been discussing, but they've not shared the report with us. I don't know whether this will also include the issue we went to the workshop on the electronic voting. I'm not quite certain that that will also be included. But nevertheless, the nature of the meeting is that we will be taking a briefing. I'm hoping that they will share some information with us, which we'll share with you before that date comes.
Okay, Chair, we'll appreciate maybe the reports before we engage on it.
Yeah, Sharon, can I just check, have you received anything yet?
Chairperson, just before the meeting, they shared documentation with us.
You muffled, we can't hear.
It was just before our meeting started, they shared documentation with us. So after the meeting, I will send it through to members. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, in that case, let's have a look at those documents. If members feel there's something to discuss, please put it on the group. Let's try and see if we can close the gap so that when we get to the meeting, we're ready. I think that's how we should handle it. Any other comments, Honorable Labuskaghni?
Can Shireen just share this new program with us, please, because there's slight changes.
Yes, the
you.
changes arise when the members who are put on the program start withdrawing and indicating they are not available and have to keep readjusting. So that's what happened. But let's share the latest report because it has changed. Any other comments, honorable members? Okay. Well, in that case, thank you very much. Let me then say we'll meet next Tuesday on the virtual platform and try and complete our program on the APPs. But thank you very, very much. And certainly, I also must say, commenting on the members on their debate, the report on our study tour to Denmark did receive good support from Parliament. Thanks for all your work and all the effort. And certainly, it's making us to be ready to deal with the bill when the time comes. And I hope that we'll have enough time to just align on the principles so that that process goes on without any hitches. But otherwise, honourable members, thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. Meeting is adjourned. And Van Wyk, we note you are present, but you couldn't participate, but you are still part of it. And we wish you speedy recovery. Thank you very much, honourable members. Meeting adjourned. Bye.
Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair.
Welcome.
Bye, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.